Jerry used to say, especially in the beginning, he argued with us quite a bit about why would someone behave that way? And we would say, well, that's not really your work. Well, it felt like it was his work because it was in his atmosphere, sometimes in his face. And the point he argued the most often was, I didn't really expect that person to behave that way until I observed their behavior. And then I expected it. And so his point, he didn't get far with it because we're stubborn. His point was, it showed itself to me before I believed it. And while that very often may be exactly what happened to you, you were born into a family, they had beliefs, they behaved in a certain way, they behaved toward you in a certain way, and you developed a point of attraction about how you fit into that family or into that city or into the world. In other words, we get why you do it. We just want you to remember that there is another way that you can be in this world. You can observe it and choose from what you're observing and focus deliberately upon the parts that you're observing that you want to perpetuate in your experience and in the world at large. You don't have to just be a regurgitator. You are a creator. You came to observe, yes, and to decide personally. That matters. Your point of view matters. You get to choose. And once you have chosen, to focus in the direction of what you are choosing rather than in its opposite. Why would anyone choose to focus in opposition to what they really are choosing? Well, it's just a habit. It's a habit for this reason. You were born with these magnificent senses or abilities to perceive. You see and hear and smell and taste and touch. And what you don't realize maybe is that in what you see, you are translating vibration into what you see. What you hear, you're translating vibration into what you hear. Your senses are helping you to translate meaningfully to yourself. Well, that's compelling, isn't it? That reality, that's compelling. We get why you want to focus upon it. Much of it is delicious, and all of it matters, because how are you going to know what you do want unless you're able to taste a little bit or maybe a lot about what you don't want? How would anyone decide what they prefer if it were not for the variety that helps you in that relative way, that relativity way, that comparison way? How would you know what you choose? And it matters what you choose, because you are the creator of your own point of attraction. So what we want to talk about is how you more deliberately merge with who you are, that blending, that allowing. Step one is, here you are in your physical body, splat, you got here a while ago. You know what you don't want, you know what you do want, even if you're not speaking about it. You're sending these continual streams of energy. We've called them rockets of desire. They shoot from you, and they are gathered by the law of attraction into what is a vibrational reality. It's a now reality from your inner being's point of view, but you want to call it future because you don't want to call it now until it manifests. But we want to tease you just a little bit. That new car may not be in your garage yet, so you want to call it future? But your excitement about it is now, isn't it? Or your discouragement about not having it is now. You get to choose. Your inner being is focused upon its complete fulfillment. And if you're not, then you are causing discord. You are pinching yourself off. So that's how it works. Step one is contrast helps you to ask. Step two is the law of attraction and your inner being get all over what you've asked for. Go to work focusing, and the law of attraction does its gathering of cooperative components, and things are set into motion. If you could see it, you'd feel better. You'd feel more sure. It might take away the surprise factor. We don't want to give you a spoiler alert, but there's good stuff waiting for you. You just got to chill. You just got to chill. Step three is chill. Step 3 is look for reasons to feel good. And when you find one, focus on it long enough that it gets some momentum. You focus on the things you don't like long enough to give them momentum, don't you? Why not pick more of the things that you do want and focus upon them until the law of attraction gathers the momentum that takes your breath away? You're much more than these physical bodies. You in your physical bodies are extensions of something so much more. Your source energy. And your physical body is an extension of that liquid love. So, as you made the decision to focus some of that source energy into this personality that you know as you, all of you didn't come. In fact, most of you is not here in this body. The larger part of your perspective remains non-physically focused while you are here having your important experiences, but not without the awareness and the adoration and the appreciation of that larger part of you. So every conversation you have, your inner being is aware, in on it. Everything you do, everything you think, you are an extension. You can never separate yourself from that perspective. And that perspective, if you could just take that perspective and sit it in a chair in physical form, that perspective of you would be your very best friend. And here's why. That perspective of you knows you, first of all. Aren't you always wanting somebody to get you? Knows you, adores you, roots for you, knows the ever-changing life experiences that you're going to live, and supports you in everything that you do, knowing that you can't get it wrong and that you never get it done. And so that non-physical part of you is having a vibrational response to whatever it is that you are about in any moment in time, as are you. And your emotions are your indicator of how close in understanding you are with your inner being about the very thing that you're focused on. Somebody is rude to you, you don't like it. If they're really a bully to someone you love or even to you, you'd like to get bigger and stronger and you'd like to deal with them. Revenge is real. The reason that you feel the discomfort that you might call fear or anger or revenge is because your inner being isn't looking at that bully in the way you are looking at that bully. You say bully, inner being says learner. You say bully, your inner being says someone here to play with you to help you find your balance. You say bully, bigger than me, taking advantage of me, your inner being says that can never happen. It's only you giving away your power that ever negatively impacts you. And your inner being isn't even saying, and you shouldn't do that. Your inner being doesn't push against anything that you're about. Just knows it, understands it, and is always focused upon who you really are and what you really want. Now, how does your inner being know what you want? Because every time you lived what you didn't want, you asked for what you did want, even if you didn't use your words. Someone's rude, you want a nicer world. You don't have enough to eat, you want more food. You want some more money to go do something, but you're aware of it because you feel some financial shortage. Your inner being does not join you in the financial shortage. Your inner being knows your prosperity, focuses upon your prosperity, holds such a clear thought of that prosperity. And because your inner being is non-physically focused, where there is not resistance, when your inner being focuses upon something that you want, and the law of attraction, which it does, responds, which it does to what your inner being is focused upon, which is about something that you want, which you've set into motion, there is a powerful attraction, a gathering of cooperative components on your behalf to what you want. Question is, what are you doing? Bully, complaining, unfair. And so it's only your perspective, not in sync with your broader perspective, that is the reason for negative emotion, or is the reason for you pinching off the avalanche of well-being that is pointed at you and for you and by your inner being and by all that is, by that which you often call God? Can you feel the leading edge that you're focused upon? It's like everything that you've been living has brought you a perspective, not just an opinion. That is a perspective, and everybody's got that. But a point of attraction perspective is what we're talking about, where you've lived life and you've observed it, and then you've talked about it, you've sort of calibrated to it, you've isolated it by focusing on it, and in many cases defended it. And so you stand with a point of view, but not just one that you see with your eyes or understand with your mind. You have a vibrational point of view, which you may not be completely aware of, and that's really the point of everything that we talk about. You've been living and responding. That's mostly how you got your point of view. A sort of knee-jerk reaction is what most people's point of view is about. And so sometimes when you're noticing things that you don't like, that you sort of don't like or really don't like, most humans develop a stance of pushing hard against that, not realizing that when you do that, it accentuates that point of view and makes that point of view more of what comes to you. So your opinions or your point of view feel so valid to you, and they are, because your life keeps proving your focused point. If you think that, if you believe that, the law of attraction keeps bringing you things like it, not because it's what you want, but because it's what you've been focused upon, and it's what you're offering vibrationally. An easier way to hear it is because you believe it. An even stronger way to hear it is because you expect it. So it's our powerful desire that you accept the perfection of where you stand, even if you don't like it. You accept that it comes by your point of attraction, and that any part of it that you would like to change, you can. And that the easiest way to change the parts you don't like is not to push against them, not to catalog them and pigeonhole them and join other groups who are also pushing against those things. But in the knowing what you don't want, to define as best you can what you do want, and then do your best bit by bit to focus more in the direction of wanted than in not wanted. And here's why. You live in a universe that is vibrational first and foremost, and then translatable into manifestation, turning thoughts to things. Yay. That's what you want. That's what you get. That's who you are. That's why you're here. So here we are all together as vibrational beings living in a vibrational universe. And as you come to accept that, and then you calibrate what you're doing vibrationally with what the larger part of you is doing vibrationally, then you consciously activate your own guidance system, and then it's so much easier to move in the direction of wanted. When you're using your physical senses to choose from the plethora of ideas or experiences, it's a lot to choose from, and it can get very confusing. But if you are using your guidance system to feel your way through it, rather than try to think your way through it, it's so much easier. And here, very briefly, is how that works.